If you enjoy these stories about humanity at its finest, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications.
The bridge of the Valkyrie hummed with a tension that was almost audible. Dr. Alara Vance stood near the main view screen, her hands clasped loosely in front of her, her posture radiating a calm that felt out of place among the anxious alien officers. The Valkyrie was a human vessel, but its current mission was far from any diplomatic or exploratory brief. It was here to witness, and potentially intervene in, the first-ever trial of the Zephyrians, a species of sentient crystalline beings who had never known loss. The Zephyrians lived in perfect, unbroken harmony, their society a masterpiece of logic and efficiency, until now. Before Alara stood the accused, Kalen, a Zephyrian whose crystalline form flickered with a faint, almost imperceptible blue light. He was accused of causing the unraveling, the sudden, inexplicable dissolution of his mate, Lyra. The Zephyrians had no concept of death, only of transition. And this transition had been violent, chaotic, and utterly unprecedented. Alara had been brought in as an expert on grief, a concept so foreign to the Zephyrians that they had no word for it. Her presence was a last-ditch effort to understand what had happened, to bridge the gap between their perfect world and the messy, painful reality of loss. The trial was being presided over by the Triumvirate, three ancient Zephyrians whose forms were so vast they filled the bridge's observation deck. Their voices, when they spoke, were not heard but felt, a resonant hum that vibrated in Alara's bones. The accused stands accused of violating the sanctity of the bond, one of them intoned. The evidence is clear. Lyra's form destabilized, her energy scattered without cause. Kalen, explain. Kalen's crystalline voice was a series of soft chimes. I do not understand. Lyra was whole. We were in sync. Then, she was not. Alara stepped forward, her translator implant converting her words into a frequency the Zephyrians could comprehend. Your Honor, she began. The Zephyrians have never experienced what humans call loss. But every species that has ever lived has. It is not a violation. It is the consequence. The Triumvirate's hum deepened. Explain this consequence. Alara took a breath. Imagine a song. A perfect, eternal song. Now, imagine one of the singers stops. The song changed. The verdict was swift and brutal. Kalen was found guilty of causing the unraveling and sentenced to dissolution, his energy to be scattered across the void. The sentence was to be carried out immediately. As the Zephyrian guards moved to escort Kalen away, Alara's heart pounded. This was wrong. This was a misunderstanding born of ignorance. Wait, she cried, her voice cutting through the Triumvirate's resonant hum. This is not justice. This is fear. The Triumvirate turned their attention to her, their crystalline forms glowing faintly. Fear is illogical, one of them stated. Your emotions cloud your judgment. Emotion is not a flaw, Alara retorted, stepping between Kalen and the guards. It is the foundation of connection. You destroyed Lyra because you could not comprehend her change. Now you will destroy Kalen for the same reason. This is not justice. It is erasure. Kalen stared at her, his blue light flickering with a new intensity. You understand the space? He asked, his chimes softer now. Alara met his gaze. I do. And I know that destroying the one who loved her won't bring her back. It will only create more spaces. The Triumvirate's hum grew louder, vibrating the deck plates beneath Alara's feet. The accused has been sentenced. Your interference is noted. Noted, Alara repeated, her voice steady. But I will not let you destroy a man for a crime he didn't understand. The guards moved again, their crystalline hands reaching for Kalen. Alara did not flinch. Stop, she commanded, her voice ringing with an authority she didn't know she possessed. The Triumvirate's hum faltered. Explain, they said. Alara took a deep breath. You say Kalen caused the unraveling. But what if he didn't? What if something else did? Something you don't understand. The Triumvirate's forms pulsed. The evidence is clear. Kalen was present. And I was present when my husband died, Alara said quietly. Does that mean I caused it? The silence that followed was absolute. Alara could feel the Triumvirate's processors whirring, struggling to reconcile her words with their rigid logic. Kalen stared at her, his blue light steady now, as if he had finally found something he could grasp. The space is not a flaw, he echoed softly. It is proof. Alara nodded. Yes, Proof that love existed. Proof that Lyra was real. And proof that Kalen deserves to live, not to be erased for a crime he never meant to commit. The triumvirate's hum softened. Your argument is illogical, but it is compelling. Alara held her breath. Then delay the sentence. Give me time. Let me investigate. Let me find what really happened. The triumvirate exchanged a silent communication, their forms pulsing in unison. We grant you one cycle, they said at last. One cycle to prove your claim. If you fail, the sentence stands. Alara's relief was short-lived. One cycle. Not much time at all. But it was enough. She turned to Kalen. We have work to do. Alara and Kalen retreated to the Valkyrie's observation deck, leaving the Zephyrian warship's tense atmosphere behind. The deck was small, dominated by a massive view screen that displayed the swirling nebula outside. Kalen stood near the viewport, his crystalline form reflecting the colorful gases. The triumvirate does not understand, he said, his chimes soft. They see the unraveling as a flaw in their perfect system. They cannot comprehend that loss is part of life. Alara leaned against the console, her arms crossed. That's because they've never had to. Their world is sterile, perfect. But perfection isn't real. Not in the universe I know. Kalen turned to her. You speak of your husband. Tell me of him. Alara hesitated, then nodded. His name was Mark. He was a pilot. He loved the stars. He used to say that the universe was too big to be alone in. She paused, a lump forming in her throat. He died in an accident. A micrometeoroid strike. No warning. No time to say goodbye. Kalen's form flickered with a soft blue light. The space, it is still there? Alara nodded. Every day? But it's not just empty. It's filled with memories. The way he laughed. The way he looked at me when he talked about the stars. Those memories don't erase the space. They fill it. Kalen was silent for a long moment. Lyra and I, we were in sync. Our energies resonated. Then, her resonance changed. It became chaotic. Unstable. Alara's eyes widened. Chaotic? Like a storm? Kalen nodded. Yes. A storm of energy. It tore her apart. Alara's mind raced. A storm? On a ship that's supposed to be perfectly controlled. She turned to the console, her fingers flying across the controls. Kalen, describe the storm again. The exact pattern. Kalen projected a holographic image of the energy fluctuations. Alara's breath hitched. That's not random, she said, her voice tight. That's too structured. Too intelligent. She zoomed in on the pattern, her eyes scanning the data. These frequencies, they match something. She pulled up a star chart, highlighting a nearby gas giant. Here, the planet Forlag. It's known for its extreme atmospheric disturbances. Storms that last for centuries. Kalen's form pulsed. You think the storm caused the unraveling? I think something did, Alara said, her mind racing. And I think it's not done. She turned to Kalen. We need to go to Forlag. Now. Kalen hesitated. The triumvirate forbade it. They say Forlag is uninhabitable. A dead zone. The triumvirate is wrong, Alara said firmly. Something is alive out there. Something that caused Lyra's death. And if we don't stop it, it will happen again. Kalen's blue light brightened. Then we go to Forlag. The Valkyrie dropped out of warp near Forlag, a monstrous gas giant that dominated the viewport. Its atmosphere was a swirling maelstrom of reds, oranges, and purples, storms raging across its surface with terrifying intensity. Alara and Kalen stood on the bridge, the ship's sensors struggling to penetrate the chaotic atmosphere. The readings are all over the place, Alara muttered, her fingers dancing across the console. It's like the planet is alive. Kalen's form flickered with a soft blue light. Lyra's resonance, it felt similar, but different, more aware. Alara's eyes narrowed. Aware? Like it was conscious. She pulled up the sensor data again, her breath catching as she saw a pattern emerging. There, in the storm. A signal. Not natural. Not random. She amplified the signal, and a voice crackled through the speakers. Not a voice, but a series of harmonics. A melody that was both beautiful and terrifying. What is that? Kalen asked, his chimes tinged with fear. I don't know, Alara said, her voice tight. But it's not Zephyrian. It's not human. It's something else. The Valkyrie shuddered as a particularly violent storm buffeted the ship. We're being pulled in, Alara said, her hands flying across the controls. The atmosphere is too dense. We can't maintain orbit. Then we go down, Kalen said, his blue light steady. We face the storm. Alara stared at him, then at the swirling chaos outside. This is suicide, she said. But it's the only way. She turned to the pilot. Set a course for the eye of the storm. Maximum thrust. The Valkyrie plunged into the maelstrom, the ship's hull groaning under the strain. Outside, the storm raged, a symphony of destruction. And within it, a voice. A voice that was not speaking, but singing. The Valkyrie bucked violently as it descended into Forlag's atmosphere, the storm's fury threatening to tear the ship apart. Alara gripped the console, her knuckles white, while Kalen stood near the viewport, his crystalline form pulsing with a soft blue light. The storm, it's singing to me, he said, his chimes barely audible over the howling winds. Alara turned to him, her eyes wide. Singing? What is it saying? I don't know, Kalen replied, his form flickering. But it feels familiar. Like Lyra's resonance. But twisted. Alara's mind raced. Twisted? How? It's not harmony, Kalen said, his voice strained. It's dissonance. A broken song. Alara's blood ran cold. The unraveling. It wasn't random. It was an attack. The storm, it targeted Lyra. She pulled up the sensor data again, her fingers flying across the console. There. A spike in energy right before she destabilized. The storm was feeding on her. Kalen's form pulsed with a bright blue light. Feeding? Like a predator? Yes, Alara said, her voice grim. And it's still hungry. The Valkyrie shuddered again, the hull groaning under the strain. We're losing altitude, the pilot yelled. We need to pull up now. No, Alara said, her voice firm. We keep going. To the eye. The pilot stared at her. The eye? That's the worst part. The storm's core. Exactly, Alara said. That's where the signal is strongest. That's where we'll find whatever's doing this. Kalen turned to her, his blue light steady. We will face the storm together. Alara nodded. Together. The Valkyrie plunged deeper into the maelstrom, the storm's fury intensifying. Outside, the singing grew louder, a discordant melody that seemed to pierce the ship's hull. And within it, a presence. A presence that was not of flesh or crystal, but of pure, chaotic energy. The Valkyrie finally broke through the outer layers of the storm, emerging into the eye, a vast, calm expanse in the middle of the chaos. The air was still, the silence almost deafening after the howling winds. And in the center of the eye, floating like a ghost, was a being of pure light and sound. It was not solid, not physical, but a swirling vortex of energy, its form shifting and changing with every note of its song. Alara and Kalen stood on the bridge, staring at the entity in awe. It's beautiful, Kalen said, his chimes soft. And terrifying, Alara added, her voice tight. What is it? The entity turned its attention to them, its song shifting from discordant to melodic. It was not speaking, but communicating through pure emotion. You are not of the storm. Kalen stepped forward, his blue light brightening. Lyra was not of the storm. Why did you take her? The entity's song grew mournful. She was harmony. I am dissonance. I was drawn to her. I wanted to understand. Alara's eyes widened. It didn't mean to harm her. It was curious. But its curiosity, it destroyed her. The entity's song shifted again, this time apologetic. I did not know. I have never touched harmony before. Kalen's form flickered. You are the weather. The sentient storms. The entity's song confirmed it. I am Forlag. I am the song of the sky. I am alone. Alara's heart ached. It's lonely, she said quietly. It's never encountered another sentient being. It didn't understand what Lyra was. It just reached out. And in doing so, it broke her. Kalen turned to her, his blue light steady. Then it is not guilty. It is lost. Alara nodded. Like all of us. The entity's song softened, its form calming. You understand. Alara stepped forward, her voice gentle. We do. And we can help. We can teach you. About harmony. About connection. About loss. The entity's form pulsed with a soft light. Teach me, Alara smiled. We will. The Valkyrie remained in the eye of the storm, a bridge between two worlds. And for the first time, the storm was not a threat. It was a friend. When the Valkyrie returned to the Zephyrian warship, the triumvirate was waiting. Their crystalline forms glowed with a faint light as Alara and Kalen stood before them. "Your cycle is complete," one of them intoned. "Have you proven your claim?" Alara nodded, her voice steady. "I have. The unraveling was not Kalen's fault. It was an accident, a misunderstanding." She explained everything about Forlag, about the sentient storm, about its curiosity and its loneliness. The triumvirate's hum deepened, their forms pulsing with thought. "A sentient storm," one of them said. "The concept is illogical, but the evidence is clear." Kalen stepped forward, his blue light steady. Lyra's transition was not a crime. It was a tragedy, a consequence of two worlds colliding. The triumvirate fell silent, then nodded. "The sentence is rescinded. Kalen is free." Alara breathed a sigh of relief. But this is not just about Kalen. It's about the Zephyrians. They need to understand loss, to understand that it is a part of life. The triumvirate's hum softened. "We will learn. For Kalen, for Lyra," Alara smiled. "And for Forlag, we will help them connect, to teach each other." The triumvirate's forms pulsed with a soft light. "We accept your offer. A new era begins." As the Valkyrie prepared to depart, Alara and Kalen stood on the observation deck, watching the Zephyrian warship fade into the distance. "The space is still there," Kalen said, his chimes soft. "But it is not empty." Alara nodded. "No, it's filled with hope, with the promise of understanding." The storm outside the viewport raged, but now it was a song of harmony. And for the first time, the galaxy felt a little less lonely.